This evening, first, a double murder shocks Lenora as two men are killed following a violent argument. One suspect remains on the police guard, while another is still on the run. Details on the deadly scuffle coming up. Also, a supermarket robbery leads to a high-speed chase. We'll tell you how the police caught the armed suspects and what was found in their getaway car. Plus, Ghana ramps up its management of the oil and gas industry with expert training and cutting-edge software. How will this impact the country's future in the energy sector? Also, Ghana's first ever urban eco-lodges are ready for guests. Find out how these sustainable homes are putting local culture and women at the forefront of a new tourism era. And finally, hundreds of Venezuelan political dissidents fled to Colombia amid claims of prosecution following President Maduro's disputed election victory. What's next for the embattled opposition? Stay tuned for these stories and more tonight on Headline News. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for September 23rd, 2024. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, police are investigating a suspected double murder on the west coast of Demerara over the weekend following a violent altercation. Dale Jarvis has more details.
Police are probing a suspected double murder in Lenora involving 30-year-old Mohammed Kalamuddin Nasir and 25-year-old Arvindra Rupram, both residents of Stewartville, West Coast, Demerara. The incident occurred around 2:50 a.m. on Saturday, September 21st, 2024, near District Club in Lenora, following a heated argument that escalated into violence. Inquiries disclosed that Nasir, Rupram, and the two suspects had a heated argument that escalated into a violent scuffle. Rupram received several stab wounds on his body and Nasir received one stab wound to his upper abdomen. The two suspects, Alex Amsterdam, called Mario, a 28-year-old security guard, received one stab wound to his upper abdomen. In contrast, the second suspect, Terry, only name given, made good his escape from the scene in an unknown direction. Nasir and Rupram were escorted to the Lenora Cottage Hospital by ranks of the Anti-Crime Patrol and pronounced dead on arrival. Amsterdam was escorted to the Lenora Cottage Hospital, where he was seen and examined by a doctor on duty. He was then transferred to the West Demerara Regional Hospital, where he is presently admitted as a patient under police guard. His condition is critical. Meanwhile, the other suspect, Terry, remains on the run. A knife was recovered as investigations continue. Reporting for Headline News Update, Dale Jarvis.
Thanks, Dale. 3 men have been arrested in connection with an armed robbery at Aryan Supermarket in Unity, East Coast, Demerara on Saturday, September 21st. The 3 suspects in custody are Anton Fraser of Nabaklis, LeSean Crawford from Nabaklis, and Renardo Persad from Collagen. Investigations revealed that around 4 p.m., 2 of the suspects entered the supermarket and 1 remained in the car they came in. One of the suspects pointed a gun at the cashier, while the other emptied the cash register drawer of an undisclosed sum of money, and they re-entered the car and drove away. Police responded quickly after an alarm was raised. They spotted the suspect's getaway car in the Nambakalas area and pursued them until the vehicle crashed into another car, though no injuries were reported. Inside the vehicle, officers found a 9mm Beretta pistol, ammunition, close to $9,000 in cash, and a haversack, ski mask, and caps. The 3 suspects remain in custody as investigations continue. On a different note, a police operation early Sunday morning led to the discovery of cocaine and marijuana at a camp in Okubakdam, resulting in the arrest of 46-year-old Mark Ramdas. Officers from Regional Division 7 arrived at Ramdas's camp around 2 a.m., where they found him asleep. Upon waking him, police conducted a search of the premises and uncovered a black plastic bag containing a bottle filled with rock-like substances suspected to be cocaine. They also found several Ziploc packets containing leaves, seeds, and stems believed to be cannabis. Ramdas, a resident of Bachelor's Adventure, East Coast, Demerara, was informed of the charges against him and reportedly stated, "Is me on, do a thing for me now." He was taken into custody at the Bartica police station. The suspected narcotics were weighed, revealing 4.5 grams of cocaine and 38.7 grams of marijuana. Ramdas is expected to face charges as investigations continue. Stick around when we return. Ghana strengthens oil sector management with training and new software. and Ghana's first urban eco-lodge opens to visitors.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoons, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoons Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. The government is enhancing its management of the oil and gas industry by providing expert training and acquiring new software. According to a recent report from the Ministry of Finance, officials from key agencies have undergone training in crucial areas like crude oil marketing, economic modeling, and cost benchmarking. Cost benchmarking helps ensure that the expenses of oil operations align with global standards, improving profitability. Economic modeling allows officials to predict future financial outcomes, aiding in informed decision-making. Training in crude marketing equips them to navigate the global oil market effectively, focusing on pricing and contracts. Additionally, the government has purchased Questor software, a tool used to analyze costs and revenue related to oil field development. This software will help agencies review plans and financial statements submitted by oil companies. These are all efforts demonstrated by the government to effectively manage Ghana's natural resources, ensuring that the benefits from the oil sector contribute to the country's development. Moving on, Ghana's first urban eco-lodges in Great Diamond, East Bank, Demerara are now fully ready to accommodate guests. President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali announced the completion of the 30 eco-lodges designed by Duravilla Homes and built using sustainable materials sourced from Ghana's forests. The eco-lodges offer modern amenities such as air conditioning, spacious patios, and interiors decorated with local art. Managed primarily by 120 Guyanese women, the project reflects the government's commitment to sustainable tourism and housing development. The lodges will also benefit from improved infrastructure, including a new highway and regional hospital near the Ghana National Stadium. With this initiative, Ghana seeks to blend eco-friendly construction with the promotion of its rich cultural and natural beauty. In other news, Ghana has developed a holistic approach to addressing gender-based violence through a series of initiatives and legislative reforms aimed at protecting vulnerable populations, including youth and the elderly. The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security is spearheading efforts to safeguard both men and women from various forms of violence. A key milestone in this effort is the recent passage of the Family Violence Act of 2024, which extends protection to all family members against violence, whether sexual, verbal, or otherwise. Speaking at a gender-based violence medical symposium hosted by the Sexual Offences Domestic Violence Policy Unit, Attorney General Anil Nandlal stressed the importance of confronting gender-based violence head-on. He highlighted that the new law marks a significant improvement over the 1996 legislation, allowing courts to issue criminal and civil orders and giving the police broader authority to intervene in domestic violence cases. Minister of Human Services Dr. Vindya Prasad outlined additional programs supporting the country's gender-based violence response model. These include the Spotlight Initiative, the Community Advocate Network, and the widely used 914 hotline. The 914 hotline has received over 4,000 calls since its inception, providing timely intervention to victims. The ministry is also working on expanding its services with a new chat interface. Ghana's comprehensive response model has been lauded as one of the best in the region, actively contributing to a reduction in gender-based violence across the country. Don't go away after the break. UN Security Council reform. Members call for changes to veto powers. And how prepared is the Philippines for another major natural disaster?
Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Crow Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoons, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton, and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Hundreds of Venezuelan political detainees have fled to neighboring Colombia in fear of what they call unprecedented prosecution. That's after President Nicolas Maduro claimed victory in July 28th election, a result that has been disputed by the opposition and questioned by foreign observers. Al Jazeera's Alexandria Rampietti reports.
23-year-old student leader Angelica Angel says she started receiving threats the day after she voted in Venezuela's presidential election. She claims security forces followed her and intimidating messages were left on her phone. Incumbent President Nicolás Maduro claims he won the election despite evidence presented by the opposition to the contrary, sparking protests and a government crackdown.
The governor of Merida State ordered the creation of a Justice and Peace Commission to investigate those protesting or not willing to accept the results of the elections. That night I received calls with screams in the background. Then someone told me I was first on the list and they were going to investigate me for terrorism, so I fled.
Angelica says she was targeted for participating in the opposition effort to collect the voting tallies that she says prove opposition candidate Edmundo González won the election.
Like Angelica, hundreds of political activists, human rights defenders, journalists, and even simple electoral witnesses were forced to cross into Colombia in search of protection.
The Together We Can Foundation says they have welcomed 178 Venezuelan dissidents since the elections. All share similar stories of being hunted down by Venezuela's security forces. Most insist their identity remain hidden.
We need to be careful because our family members are still there and they risk being arrested or tortured by the criminal regime. We all know what they are capable of.
Earlier this month, opposition candidate González fled to Spain, where he was granted political asylum. He says he was forced to sign a letter recognizing Maduro's victory. But the Venezuelan government insists González signed it voluntarily and that there's no crackdown on dissenters in the country.
If you signed under duress, how is it that one of your daughters still lives in Venezuela peacefully with her family? We all have a place in Venezuela, but there is no place for violence or fascism here.
But back in Bogotá, Angelica says she will not give up.
I don't think I can choose to get involved or not. I simply have to do it, because I don't think it's human to let people in your country starve or be tortured simply for thinking differently.
Maduro's crackdown on protesters has left at least 24 dead and over 2,000 detained, with more foreign governments refusing to accept Maduro as the election winner unless the government releases detailed voting data to prove it. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera, Bogotá.
Internationally, as the UN General Assembly convenes, many members call for changes to the Security Council again. In particular, there are questions about the veto granted to 5 permanent members: the UK, the US, Russia, China, and France. Critics say the veto has been used to protect allies and prevent or stall UN peacekeeping. Al Jazeera's Mike Hanna reports.
A familiar sight in the UN Security Council, yet another veto by a permanent member, meaning the resolution under discussion will not be passed, and the UN as a whole will be unable to act.
A new approach is needed, grounded in international law, including the enforcement of this Council's resolutions. Council members who question the binding status of these resolutions, or who use their veto to protect an ally or to oppose a geopolitical rival, are eroding the Council's authority. They also undermine their own reputations and long-term interests.
When the UN first convened in what was to become its New York home in October 1946, the veto was already embedded in the Security Council structure. The 5 permanent members were granted this status because of their importance after the Second World War, and purportedly to ensure that major powers would act together to maintain international peace and security. But today, Israel continues its war on Gaza with no UN intervention. and resolutions coming before the Security Council are vetoed by the United States, just as it has vetoed the vast majority of prior resolutions sanctioning Israel for its illegal occupation of Palestinian territory. The US wants to enlarge the Security Council, but it will not budge on its refusal to give up the veto while criticizing Russia for using it.
You have a country, a permanent member of the Security Council, who has broken every single tenet of the charter by invading a neighbor, actually compromising the sovereignty of that country and the borders of that country. And that country sits on the Security Council with a veto.
Russia's war against Ukraine continues unchecked. Any action contemplated by the Security Council is vetoed by the very country waging the war. And while there may be reforms like increasing the size of the Security Council, the veto is likely to remain.
I think all those things are possible, and I'm hoping for progress in all of them. I am skeptical about the possibility to have an abolition of the veto. That doesn't mean, as I said, that I like it.
Outside the main doors to the UN, a sculpture symbolizing what is supposed to be the organization's reason for being, to stop or prevent war. Critics describe it as a reminder that the organization is failing. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera at the United Nations.
Finally, the Philippines is the country most at risk from natural disasters. Climate change has been blamed for extreme weather conditions. 8 storms have hit the country this year, killing dozens of people. Al Jazeera's Barnaby Lowe reports.
It has been weeks since floods triggered by Typhoon Gamy subsided. But Virginia Mantes hasn't moved back furniture and appliances that had to be taken to the 3rd floor of her home. She had the space built after Typhoon Ketsana in 2009 flooded nearly her entire home.
Doon sa bintana na yun, hanggang doon ang tubig.
The water reached that small window over there, and the floor above it now wasn't there at the time.
Ayun yung maliit.
That's actually our bathroom window.
Hanggang doon ang tubig eh.
Virginia says it took her years to save up for construction. But because floods have become a regular feature of their life, she feels it's necessary. For those who can't afford to add another floor to their houses, the government of Marikina City, a suburb of the Philippine capital, has a system in place.
So the flood warning system in Marikina City works in 3 stages. There are several of those posts along the river which measure the water level. Now, when it rises to 15 meters and the first siren sounds, that means people should prepare to evacuate. At 16 meters, they're encouraged to start leaving their homes. And at 18 meters, everyone is mandated to start heading to one of the 50 temporary shelters.
2009's Typhoon Ketsana led to the Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Law. It requires local governments to allocate 5% of their annual budget for disaster response and prevention, among other things. Marikina City has invested in a command center, life-saving equipment, and flood mitigation projects, all of which, according to the mayor, are necessary spending that can cut economic losses in the aftermath of a storm.
It greatly affects lives, properties. It's a necessity now, an urgent necessity that we need to address.
The national government's budget for climate change and disasters has also increased to around 2% of the GDP, costs that activists say shouldn't be shouldered solely by taxpayers.
These are not natural occurrences that nobody is responsible for. And it's been established that there's a number of companies that were involved in really aggravating the climate crisis.
Some of these companies involved in quarrying activities on mountains around Marikina River, blamed by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for the floods, as he flew over deforested areas in the wake of Typhoon Yagi. Barnaby Lowe, Al Jazeera, Marikina City, the Philippines.
This brings us to the end of the regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 30 weather forecast. And that's it to V2 Headline News for this Monday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.